Good, good morning. I guess I am live. Never tried this before. I thought I would do it. Um, so if anybody shows up, great. If not, this will be just on my regular YouTube channel. So I had a few minutes free this morning and I needed to take a break because I've been working all morning very hard trying to get things cleaned up. As you can see behind me, even this is not the cleanest. That will be one of my projects for a later day, but I've got other stuff that has to be done. Um, just because we've been very busy the last couple of weeks, and I've been trying to put videos on and stuff, but haven't always been able to. So, and I don't know what was going on, but I was having a lot of issues. The Magix program that my friend gave me, um, it didn't want to upload to YouTube. So I've been having to figure out different ways to kind of make this work. So that's what I've been trying to do, figure things out. Just trying to learn how to do this. And I need to learn how to stop saying, yes, I know that. So anyway, we've been very blessed. It's been awesome. I need to just kind of start from the beginning and tell people what kind of began all this. I kind of touched on it in one of my last videos where I talked about my husband and his issues. But what happened after that is even more important, because I was still in shock from the news that we'd received on him having stage 4 liver cancer. So it's like I didn't really think much about it until, almost a month went by, and he pretty much had not worked. He might have worked maybe 10 to 20 hours a week in May, and it was very difficult. We were going through our daughter graduating at that time, which I put up some prom photos. I'm working on some other photos during that time frame, but that's what all was going on at that time. And so it was very difficult because my husband was in the hospital. The following week my daughter graduated. My family called me and asked me, "Are you doing anything for your daughter's graduation?" And I'm like, I didn't even, I thought about it. We'd made plans on it, kind of discussed it, but I never finalized anything. So I'm like, okay, what can I do to fix this? Because she's graduating. This is her one time she's going to graduate from high school, and we need to do something. So I kind of talked around with family and friends, and we decided that we'd take her out. I didn't know how Terry was going to feel. He made it to her graduation. I was very, very thankful for that, because I just could not imagine him missing that. So he looked terrible. He honestly looked terrible. You can see him in the picture on some of the frames that I've done, where I've done an intro. That is her graduation picture, or the family at her graduation, from my husband, my kids, and my mother and sister and stuff. And my adopted sister is on the very end holding a book up in front of her face. So yes, I am too. I was so thankful, my faith is overflowing, that he was able to make it. Praise the Lord. He got through. We went out for dinner, and we started learning a lot of stuff shortly after this regarding his health conditions and why we were having the issues we were, part of it. But he made it through her graduation dinner. As soon as we were done, he's like, "I'll stay for her opening, but I have got to leave after that." And I'm like, "You do what you need to do, dear." He went home. We went through the next few weeks, as I said. That was like the 12th of May, I believe, that she graduated. Our daughter graduated. Then we turned around, and it's like 2 weeks after that, 3 weeks after that, we didn't have the money to pay for our electric bills. Our town is one of the highest in Oklahoma, and they keep raising the rates, and people that, are on the edge of, uh, you know, low income, it's just very difficult to make it. And so that month, I went into our local ministerial alliance and asked for some help. They said, we'll contribute this amount. Well, our bill was like 500. They were going to contribute 150. Yes, amen. His heart definitely was. And so I'm like, okay, we still have 200. It was $500 bill. And I'm like, God, I don't know how we're going to make it. And it's like, well, he said, there's a Salvation Army. Have you talked to them? So I called them. They said they'd do 50. But the only way they would do the 50 is if everything was paid, up to that $50. So I'm like, okay, great. So I asked my son whenever he was over here, and I was sitting here and I was just kind of crying. Totally forgot a week before or 3 days before, our neighbor had come over and asked us if he could mow her lawn. She had a separate set of like 3-4 lots that needed to be mowed, and nobody had been mowing them. She'd paid 3 people $200. She told us this later. Already paid 3 people to mow the lawn, and it had never been done. There were trees on the lots. There were metal pieces on the lots, so we didn't know where any of that was. When we got over there to look at it, it was like 6 feet tall. I mean, it was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. So my husband and I are like, okay, we'll start on it. So he came back home. He wanted to do it. He was feeling good that particular day, so he went in and he went over, started mowing. My son came over because we asked him if he wanted to help. And that's what he was over here, and he and I were discussing. And then I asked him about, if he could loan us some money to help us pay for the rest of this. And I said, I don't know when we'll be able to get it back to you. And he's like, Mom, I paid my bills this week. I don't have anything. And my heart just dropped. I'm like, oh my God, what are we going to do? They'll shut our electric off. This is not a city that messes around. I mean, if they say they're going to shut it off on a particular date, they shut it off. And I'm like, God, I don't know what to do. And I'm sitting here and I'm crying, and I'm like, there's no way you can help? And he's like, Mom, no. And Christina had already told us that, Mom, I can't help. I'm trying to save for going to college. So I'm like, I'm sitting here and I'm just crying. And he's like, Mom, it'll be okay. God will make provision. And all of a sudden we hear this on our door, and I'm like, I guess let him in. And it was and she came in and she was like, oh my God, Darcy, your husband should not be over there mowing that lawn. I asked if your son could do it, but he shouldn't be over there in the condition he is. And I'm like, he wanted to. He's feeling better. And she's like, well, I already told him I'm going to pay him $200 or $100 now, or $200. And I'm like, I just started bawling because that was almost the complete amount that we needed. And I was just like, oh my gosh, Lord, you are so good. And she's like, well, why are you crying? And I'm like, I needed $250 to pay our electric bill, and the Salvation Army was paying $50 if I could come up with all of it, and the Ministerial Alliance is paying part of it. And she goes, you need another $50? Here, I'll give you another $50. And she goes, and by the way, I need to go over to Stillwater tonight. Would you mind taking me? And I'm like, no, I don't have a problem with it. She's like, I need to get a few groceries. And she's like, go ahead and make out a list and see what you need too. And I'm like, well, okay, we don't need a lot, we just bought a few groceries and stuff. So I wasn't thinking anything of it. I mean, we were kind of low in our pantries and stuff, but I come up with all kinds of ideas as God directs and stuff. So I wasn't too worried about it. So she gives us a $250, and I'm like, wow, God really does provide. And this experience right here is the main reason I believe God told us to start this particular YouTube account, because so many people do not hear about God's provision in other people's lives. And yeah, it may seem like things are going under. Satan beats us over the head, and all these spirits speak into our minds, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. You're going to have your electric cut off. This is going to happen, and they'll take your kids away because your electric is cut off. I mean, all these things are going through our minds, at that time. And then when God makes miraculous provision, it's kind of like you feel like stupid in a way, because it's like, God, you told me you'd provide. I've trusted you. We've been tithers. You said you would do this, and he did, and I think that's where we kind of fall short in many of the Christian churches. And I say Christian, any Bible believing, those who profess Jesus as their Lord and Savior. Yes, Satan was definitely trying to beat me down, and he was succeeding. And it was just amazing to see how God provided, because not only did she give us the $250, which helped us to be able to pay that bill, but when we went to the store over in Stillwater, I was just picking up basic things, that we needed. We needed a few vegetables, fresh vegetables. And she's like, oh no, you've got to if you want carrots, get that big bag over there. Your kids need apples. You need a watermelon. And I mean, she was just putting all kinds of stuff into our into our container. And then she started filling hers up. And, she's got a son living with her. He's like my age or something like that. But he's able to work and stuff, but I never thought about it. So I just thought she was buying groceries for him, because I figured, well, he likes that kind of stuff, I guess. And she's like, well, your kids need cereal. Here, I've got these 3 boxes here. And I'm like, well, my kids probably won't eat those. And I mean, it was stuff that they might have because it was a sugared cereal. But I'm like, she just started putting all kinds of stuff. Thank you. I will probably do that, because it's just, there's times where you just need somebody to talk to. And I mean, I've had a best friend here, but I just felt like I was always imposing on her. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Renee. That is my cousin's name also. That is so cool. And I think that's a beautiful name. So thank you very much, Renee. And it's just, I was just amazed, because she would not let me stop. She's like, if you need something down this aisle, you get it. Oh, cool. My daddy's a Texan, so that's pretty cool. He was born in Texas, raised in Texas and Kansas, and we've kind of hopped around the 3 states, Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas, in my life. I finally spent 10 years and graduated from a Texas school, but side trail. Anyway, and oh, cool. You're not that far from me then. Only about 4.5, 5 hours. That's cool. So anyway, this lady, she just kept filling our basket and filling my basket. And I'm like, wow, I don't know where I'm going to put all this stuff. And God's like, you will find a place. You will get it straightened up, and you will find a place. And I'm like, okay. So she was getting, like I said, she got us all kinds of stuff. My basket was overflowing. She had some stuff in my basket, some stuff in her basket that she insisted on getting this for us. And what I figured was only going to be like maybe $20, $30. It was 10 times that. She spent over $200. Our basket was overflowing, and I was just like, oh my gosh, my Lord, you are an amazing God. And it was just, I sat there and I cried at God's goodness, because she's always been a sweet lady. There's only been one time where her and I ever had issues, and that was because of her granddaughter, who's one of my best friends, now lives out of town. She was married to a guy that My neighbor and her husband really did not care for. Really was not the best person for her granddaughter. But her granddaughter had chosen him, and I was allowing her granddaughter to see her husband at my house. They weren't doing anything. They weren't having any kind of orgies or anything over here. They were just visiting. And so, she found out about it. Her grandmother found out about it. This neighbor lady of mine. Oh my gosh, you want to talk about upset. She yelled at me. We were my friend and I were coming back from the park, and she came up to me and pointing to my chest. I know what you've been doing, and I'll make sure that DHS knows about you and what you're doing and blah blah blah. And I mean, I'm just like, okay. And so I'm like, she's threatening me, and I mean, and my friend had told me she's done this before. It's normal. So I'm like, all right, I'll just breathe deep, let her blow off, don't freak out. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, God, what should I do now? So after she was done, I came home, shook up, and I'm like, I need to go at least tell the police what she's saying. So I went to the police, told them what she said, what she threatened. They're like, you want to press charges? And I'm like, no, she's my neighbor. I've got to live with her. Please, no. So I never pressed charges. And I called DHS and I told them what had gone on, what she had said. And they're like, okay, we understand. And they were very nice. They're like, unless you have some really serious house issues, we're not going to do anything about it anyway. And I'm like, okay, good. So relief. But back to the future. That was about, 20 years ago, probably 18 years ago. So fast forward, we're all fine now, have been for many years. They've been very precious to us, very special friends of the family for many years. The kids call them grandma and grandpa, honorary, because both sets of my kids have been raised around them. So it was just kind of, natural, I guess, that she would come over and see how we were doing and stuff. And she comes over periodically and checks how Terry's doing. And we're still mowing her lawns as Terry can do it. And I think we're probably done now because this cold spell, I think, probably will have killed off the grass pretty good. But that was not the only time God blessed us. That was like at the end of May, end of May. In June, we were having some difficulties again. Yeah. So it's kind of speeding up and slowing down. Sorry. In June, we were having some difficulties again. He still had not been working a lot. And Terry went back to the doctor, found out he has a hernia. And this is why his belly button has been sticking out and why he's been having pain in his stomach area. And so he still was not able to work a lot. And yes, we live next to the trains, as you can hear them coming through. So that's one of the fun things we get to deal with. But anyway, he had been, still going over and mowing the lawns, and we kind of brought the family in on it. Whenever he'd go over to mow the lawns, we'd bring the kids over. They would weed eat and take the little lawn push mower while Terry was on the riding mower. Terry loves it. I can't say I do. I've gotten to the point where when I'm standing outside and they just come by, I want to shoot them. It gets so loud, so annoying. When I'm in the house, it's not quite so bad, but Terry really enjoys them. So I'm like, okay, I'll deal with it. Yeah. So anyway, he's still been doing it, but it was like the second week in June, we were having problems again. And like I said, he was only working maybe 20 hours a week, trying to get up to 30. And he had not even, I think he might have gotten to 30 to 40 maybe once between May and June. And we were used to 50 and 60 hour weeks. That's how we were surviving, is he would work 50 to 60 hours a week. And then I was doing schooling. I was doing substitute teaching during the school year. So all of that came abruptly to a stop in May, which we knew mine was, but we knew nothing about what was going to happen with him. So God made provision somehow. Okay. I guess I had a phone call come in on this. I don't know if I'm still live. It doesn't show anything. Let me see. So if you can still see me, you might let me know. It says I'm still live, but yes, okay. Voice, yes, okay. Well, I'll just go on with a voice. I don't know. Let me see. Will this... I was trying to turn back the video if it would, but it's not. Oh, said yes, nope. Okay. Well, the video won't turn back on, and can't do that. Good. All right. Well, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and stop and go back live. That way I can actually see what's going on again. So, if I can figure out how to get out of here. All right. I'll be back in just a moment.